Hey everyone, welcome to And the Nominees Were. I'm Mike Frollo.
I'm Jenny Halenka.
And this is a podcast where we're going to watch every movie ever nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards.
Yes.
And I know we said it last week, we're almost done.
We are.
We're almost done.
Well, we're not almost done with all of the movies ever nominated for Best Picture.
No, we're almost done with 2017, but it feels like we could just call it a day after this one, right?
Pat ourselves on the back, like, good job.
Yeah.
Well done, everybody.
Yeah, we'll take 2 months off. That's it for season 1. See you again in 2 years for season 2.
Yeah, nah, son. We keep going. We work.
Sure. This is the year 2017.
Yes.
This episode is Call Me by Your Name.
Mm-hmm.
And you might have heard some hints in some previous episodes. We might have mentioned offhand that this episode is a nightmare or something like that.
True. Yes. It's not cursed. That was the Get Out episode.
No, the Get Out episode is cursed. I don't think I left that part in.
Oh, okay.
I don't think
Just
I left
so you know, it was cursed.
Yeah, the Get Out episode was cursed. The Call Me by Your Name episode, hoo boy. Let me tell you the history of that episode. We watched that movie. I had seen Call Me by Your Name when it came out in theaters, a couple months into its run. And then we sat down and watched it again a couple months ago. And spoiler alert, I think we both loved that movie a whole lot.
Yeah.
And we loved it so much that I think it was like the next night or like 2 nights later, we sat down to record the episode, and we decided to have a little fun before we were like, I think we were watching another movie.
Yeah, I think we also did I, Tonya.
Oh yeah, we watched I, Tonya that night, and we were drinking wine the entire time we watched I, Tonya, which seemed appropriate. And the wine just facilitated more talking, and the longer we talked, we were like, hey, let's drink more wine.
as you do.
Yeah.
As wine works.
And so we talked for just under 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I listened to all of that. And
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard to listen to all of that. It's some scenes we'll just talk about for we'll talk for 20 minutes about like one scene that happened, and then we'll just talk about nothing for 20 more minutes. We talked about so many different things in that episode. And, we recorded that pretty early into me releasing the podcast, and I just kept putting it off until now. It's the second to last episode being released, and it's still currently 2 hours and 15 minutes long. Right. And it is not fun to listen to.
Yeah, that's the thing. I have the version on my phone that's 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I have been listening to it for over a month, and it's amusing, but it takes that long to listen to it because oh man, we are just drunk and love this movie and are just talking about how much we love every scene, and it's a lot. It's a lot to take.
Yeah. So the plan right now, this is an introduction to a completely different episode than the thing that we just spent so long talking about.
Right. But we're trying to explain why this is happening.
Yeah. So we thought we would record a completely new episode, but we have not seen the movie in like 3 or 4 months or something like that. This is just completely on memory, which now that I'm saying it out loud, this sounds like a really bad plan.
But does it sound like a worse idea than releasing this episode?
I don't know.
Okay.
This is the hard part. I feel like, full disclosure, we should mention we are not sober now.
We are not sober. all right, to be fair, but
we're not 2 bottles of wine
exactly
drunk.
Yeah, compared to this episode, hopefully you will notice a clear difference.
And it was heavy wine.
It was red wine.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this episode has already gone off the rails.
So let's talk about Call Me by Your Name. I don't know. Well, because part of the problem in our old episode was we got really into talking about how this movie was made and who made it and stuff, and like we didn't actually know any of this. We had to look it all up on Wikipedia.
This is a film directed by Luca Guadagnino. He made 2 other movies, at least. I didn't see any of them. It was written by James Ivory. Never seen any of his movies.
I saw one.
Yep. Very good. You get points. You get
points.
Movie nerd points.
Yep. Woohoo!
Yeah. And it's based on a book. I didn't read the book.
Yeah. This is us summing up the first hour of this episode, by the way. Yeah, so all this stuff happened. We tried to explain it. We didn't know anything about it. You can read it all on Wikipedia like we did.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah. And we spent the rest of the episode trying and failing to summarize the plot of this movie. And we would go off on tangents and stuff.
Right.
Which, that sounds fine. It sounds like a podcast, but it was not. It was... It shouldn't take you 4 hours to get through the plot of a movie, especially a movie that doesn't have a plot.
Well, right. It doesn't, exactly. It doesn't really have a plot. And also, it's only about 2.5 hours.
It's less than that.
It's 2 hours?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's more than that.
Yeah, we talked double the amount, just about how great everything was and how much we liked everything and how many feelings we had.
Yeah. And this is maybe another problem with that episode and with maybe this episode, which is that I love this movie. Mm-hmm. I don't have very many interesting things to say about it besides like,
It was a lot of that. We would talk about a specific scene and be like, it's so good. Mm-hmm. That would be it. That was the insight was, it's so good.
Yeah, I remember I noticed a visual motif or 2.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess we can get into that later once we actually talk about the plot of the movie. But other than that, it's just a lot of us just remembering the movie and being like, it's so good.
Yeah. It's like, remember when this happened?
Yeah.
That was awesome. Yeah.
And just like reciting holy scenes from the movie. You know.
Okay, so let's start out by explaining what the movie is.
Yes, so Call Me By Your Name is the story of Elio, a young boy on vacation.
Wait. I think you forgot to say a little shit.
I figured we'd get into that later.
I think it's very important. When you say a young boy, he seems like an actual, child, a young boy.
That's true.
He's not 17 and a little shit.
He's 17.
Okay.
He's a jerk.
Yep.
He's on vacation in northern Italy with his parents, who are academics. His father is some sort of like archaeologist or something like that, working on stuff up there. And his father hires on a research assistant by the name of Oliver, a young man in his early 20s, played by Armie Hammer. I didn't introduce who anybody else was playing, but Armie Hammer.
I thought the same thing though. I was like, played by Armie Hammer.
Yeah, and it's just a thing you have to mention. Like,
it's big slab of blonde beef, Armie Hammer.
Yeah, I'm worried that, the last episode was 4 hours of us just fawning over this movie. This episode might be a full hour of just us fawning over Armie Hammer. Because that's something we forgot to do in the last episode, even though, we got it in at the very end. We were like, how hot is Armie Hammer?
Very.
Yeah, he's extremely hot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. Like, Armie Hammer has barely been in, like, any movies, but, like, when I'm trying, if I had to describe this movie, I'd be like, Oliver, he's like an Armie Hammer type, he's basically Armie Hammer,
Anyway.
So, Elio's father hires on a young research assistant played by Armie Hammer, who engages and it's, the movie is about Elio and Oliver engaging in a fling.
Yep.
Summer fling.
But it takes a long time for them to get to it. You know,
Yeah.
they're both like, Elio isn't sure what he really wants. He also has a girlfriend, a local girl, Marzia, who, well, I don't know if she's local, but she's also vacationing there. And then also Oliver doesn't really want to get involved because he's older. He doesn't want to, do anything untoward.
Yes.
And so on. So they, they hot and cold for quite some time.
And even before they go hot and cold, it just doesn't come up for like a good hour of the movie, I feel like.
I don't agree with that. I feel like that's still clearly what it's about, even when they're not actively pursuing each other. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a moment early on in the film, like maybe 15 minutes in, when there's just a bunch of people over to play like volleyball or something like that.
Right.
And everybody's shirtless out in the sun having a good time. And Oliver comes over from just spiking the ball and being hot. And he comes over to Elio and is like, "How you doing? You okay?" And he just starts giving him a massage. And he's like, "Ooh, you're tight." And it's clear enough what the intentions are.
And Elio is kind of like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
And but everybody else is like, "No, this is fine. Whatever. You're being weird about it."
Yeah.
And so
you're being weird about it. Just go have sex with your friend. Stop being such a little baby.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's what everybody in the movie says to Elio at all times.
Yep.
Where were we?
So they are, they flirt. They don't quite get together. Stuff comes up. They think it's not right. But then, like they kind of, this is basically what this movie is. It's like they hang out over the summer and they think it might be a bad idea to get together, but they really want to, and then they do.
Yeah.
That's the really short version.
Yeah. And, I feel like there's a version of this movie where watching it, you would be like, "Oh my God, come on. One of you make a move, do something." But the end results of this movie, it's just sort of magical. You're just watching this 1 year, this one summer in Elio's life, and it feels like it's presented as like a series of moments or a series of memories. The source novel that it's based off of, it takes the form of a man writing about his memories of this summer,
right?
As a teen, he's like a man in his 40s or something writing about his teens, and the movie doesn't include that at all.
No,
but I feel like it retains that feeling. It feels like
not nostalgia, but of memory.
Yeah, like it feels like a more mainstream version of this could have had narration over it.
Right.
It feels like it could have been edited exactly the same way with just like someone's narration recollecting this stuff, and it would have been a worse movie. I think
right.
It would have been like how Chinatown originally had narration, and Roman Polanski was like, "That's stupid," and it was, and so is he. He's awful.
And there are versions of Blade Runner with narration.
Yeah,
right?
but that was done after the fact.
Okay, and that's more of a hard-boiled detective kind of thing. I don't know what that voice is. It's not a hard-boiled detective voice.
Harrison Ford's voice in that is apparently real wild because he thought it was stupid to add a narration to this movie, and so he was doing it with like no inflection or feeling whatsoever, with the hopes that they would listen back to it and go, "This is bad. Let's not do this."
Nice.
No such luck.
Oh well.
Yeah, and so the movie feels like a series of memories, a series of snapshots. There is a story, but the movie doesn't feel particularly rushed to do the story. It's
Right.
like
It's very leisurely. It's like a summer vacation.
yeah, it's like hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like my mom was always trying to get me to go to summer camp and stuff, and I hated it. Hated day camp. It was awful. I just wanted to sit around my house all day and
read books.
Well,
like
I wanted to watch sitcoms all day,
okay.
but yeah, same
Yeah, they
thing.
don't seem to have a TV here.
Yeah, they do have a TV. They're watching like weird Italian music videos at one point when like when that whole family is over. And Elio's mom is like, Elio, play the piano. Everyone's very disappointed that you're not playing the piano.
I forgot that there was a TV because she makes him play the piano.
Yeah, well, she makes him play the piano, well, you just see them all sitting around, and then she's like, Elio, play the piano, and then it cuts to the other angle, and she's like, everyone's going to be disappointed, and everyone's just, like, watching the TV, just enraptured.
I forgot about that shot.
Yeah.
Great. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Elio is... Well, the whole family is a bunch of, like, classics nerds.
Yeah.
Basically.
His dad is, I think, an archaeologist,
Right.
or maybe just, like, broadly a classicist. Like,
Right,
he just
'cause they
studies
also-
ancient Greeks and ancient Romans.
Yep. And they also have the like, test that they do for Oliver, like, the linguistics test.
Yeah. As dad says something about apricots from the
Right.
Greek apricot, and Oliver is like, I might have to disagree with you there, Professor, and launches into the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole, the etymology.
And his dad is just like, flying colors, and does the sign of the cross, and it's the nerdiest shit.
Yep. And, like, Elio and his mom are just like, yep.
Does this every year.
Yep. Mm-hmm. What nerds.
But yeah, they're such wonderful nerds. I want to hang out with these people.
Yeah.
I want them to be my parents, and I want them to read me German folk tales.
Right. Yeah, I remember being really angry about this because it was so great. Is that there's a scene where Elio's mom is just reading them like Grimm's fairy tales, but like translating them on the fly from German. Like, and I'm like, who does that? Who can do that? Why are you all so smart?
Yeah. But Elio doesn't seem to appreciate it.
No. I mean, as you wouldn't, I guess.
Yeah,
If you grew up with all the nice things, you don't realize how nice they are. They're just your things,
And he's like, he seems to be a little bit of a piano prodigy, but he doesn't care.
There's a scene which I actually, of all the things that we talked about when we talked for so long and got drunk about this movie, I don't know if we talked about, there's a scene where Elio is playing, I can't remember what the piece is, but it's like Bach.
I don't know any of these pieces, but he's playing a piece on guitar out in the garden. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, and then he goes in to play it on the piano.
Oliver is, Oliver's talking to him about the piece, and he's like, yeah, whatever. It'd be better if I was playing it on the piano like it's supposed to be. And he was like, well, go play it on the piano. He's like, I don't want to do that. He's like, do it. And then go in, and he's playing it. And Oliver's like, that's not as good. And he says, well, see, I was just doing it as if it were interpreted by Brahms or something. And then he just plays it again. And he's like, oh, that's the version by Chopin.
Yeah. And like he can just do this. He's just showing off.
Yeah.
But it's like, but he doesn't have to think about it. Mm-hmm. And like, this is just the way that he is. It's the kind of family they are. Mm-hmm. And they just, all of this like art and antiquity and stuff is just all in their blood. Yeah. Basically. It's all they do all the time. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's wild.
Yeah. It seems like a wonderful existence.
Right. I this is the only way I can think of to say it, even though it's the opposite, but nice work if you can get it. Mm-hmm. Basically. Because I think, because there's certainly, the thing with this movie is they are certainly privileged. Yeah. But they're not dicks about it.
Yeah, like there's a certain argument to be made, and I feel like I saw a lot of reviews on Letterboxd or something where people just could not even begin to get into this movie because they were like, these fucking rich people.
But they don't seem rich.
Yeah, they clearly lead a privileged life where they're able to, spend this. I mean, Elio's father is doing work. I don't know about his mother, but but but
And
there's
I
still
don't remember if they say so, but there's the implication the land is in her family.
yeah. So yeah, like he's working over the summer, but yeah, in a nice provincial estate in northern Italy. So but yeah, they're academics. They're leading a privileged life, but it's kind of like, I feel like this is the sort of existence we should be like celebrating, and
Yeah.
it's these people are doing a work that I think is important, just studying things, and yeah, why shouldn't they be able to lead a wonderful life?
True. And they don't necessarily have like nice things.
Yeah, it's a very old estate in northern Italy, but it looks old.
Right. Yeah, it's certainly nice, but it's not like, it's not fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a place where people live, and everything is like dirt and wood and stone. It's like, and like, like when you said there was a television, I had no memory of there being a television.
Yeah. And like, if you're mad about like Elio being able to just sit around for an entire summer, fuck, I did that like for 5 years until I finally had to get a job. And then the job was like for a month in the summertime until like 2 p.m, and then I could just go home and watch sitcoms.
Yeah.
And that's all that I did. It was wonderful.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of movies that like this that are about like rich people problems, it's like
that they create for themselves.
Yeah, but it's like I feel like a lot of times the lifestyle is supposed to be aspirational, but really I'm just like, do something with your life. But here it really is aspirational to me, because all I want to do is research things and hang out in the sunshine.
Yeah, that sounds nice. Yeah, you hate the sunshine.
No, I like the sunshine.
Oh, okay. Well, hang out in the sunshine.
I don't want to go to like the beach or something like that.
Okay. Oh,
I like sunlight.
Sunlight's nice.
I would hang out in a nice enclosed porch.
Okay. How do you feel about water?
Yeah, I like drinking it.
It's a lot of water in this movie.
Yes.
Segue.
Are you trying to lead me into a segue?
Segue.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Even though it was a very bad segue.
It was the worst.
There is a weird motif. Well, it's not weird, but it's an interesting motif of water in this movie. I feel like so often you're seeing people go down to the river, or hang out in they don't really have a swimming pool at this place, but there's like a little weird fountain where people
it's a weird,
just like chill out. It's like a very small pool.
Right.
It's like a single person pool.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe
but not one of these
could fit
fancy.
in it if neither of them moved.
Yeah, but not one of these fancy single person pools where you're doing your laps but you don't move.
I'm fascinated by those. By
Those
the way,
are bizarre.
Side note, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where you just swim against a weird current. It puts in for you. Amazing. Mm-hmm. I kind of want one.
And they seem
They're
like
Olympic training pools.
Yeah, but it seems like things that you would get put in your house. It's not like you go to a gym and they just have that at the gym.
I guess not.
I don't know. I've literally never once set foot in a gym that you pay for.
It would be counterproductive because only one person could use it at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Might as well just have a big Olympic swimming pool. Yeah. I don't know.
Pools. Pools are great.
I don't like it.
I like to swim. People in this movie swim a lot, was what we were getting at.
And, it's easy to, on my first viewing, I was just like, oh yeah, they're hanging out in the summertime. They go to water. Right. Like, why not? But I feel like it does seem to represent something in the movie. I feel like people are often going before, like, major shifts in, like, relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like Elio and Oliver, Elio takes Oliver down to his favorite secret spot, which is a river. Right. And then after that is when they really have their first contact, physical contact. Mm-hmm. And things like that keep happening. I think Elio also takes his girlfriend to a different river.
Yeah, they go to
like
a pond. Yeah, before they... Right, exactly.
Yeah, and it feels like it's always water's always recurring. There's a big thing in the middle of the movie where Elio's father, Mr. Perlman, he doesn't have any other name in the movie, is taking a research trip to a big lake.
Yeah, Lake Garda, I believe it's a real lake.
And he needs to bring Oliver along, and Elio sort of tags along. And they go over to this lake. They're like dredging up statues out of the water, and it almost doesn't add any. I don't think it really adds anything to the plot or anything like that.
I think that it's because up until that point in the movie, I feel like the two of them don't get along.
Yeah,
this is like before they're like flirting and like backing off and stuff, and they have to make up. As far as I remember, it's just that Elio doesn't like Oliver, and like Oliver seems to like Elio fine, but they're not connecting really.
Yeah, I feel like there's even one point, it might be just before they get in the car to go to this place, that like I feel like Elio is sort of prodding Oliver about some girl that they met. And I think it's really, he's like testing the waters to see. I think he just wants to know if this dude likes dudes, basically.
Right.
But he's doing it in a really dickish way where he's like, oh, you should go make it with this girl. She really likes you. And he's like, I prefer to do that sort of thing myself, if you don't mind.
Right.
And so it's like tense between them, but they call a truce at this excursion.
At the lake, yep.
Elio literally lifts up just an old statue's arm and like shakes with him. And that's another thing I've noticed, a lot of outstretched hands in this movie. There's a lot of moments of people going to shake, or really just to shake hands, but like in
like grasp.
Yeah, or like in a pronounced manner where you see both of their arms reach out.
You shake. That's weird.
It's weird that you shake.
Yep.
Oh yeah, we didn't get to make any because we recorded this episode months ago. We didn't get to make any jokes about how Timothée Chalamet is in 2 movies this year, and in one he's a total asshole, and the other movie is called Lady Bird.
Hey, up top. Nice.
Yeah, he plays 2 completely different types of asshole in
true.
these movies.
And they're both intellectual assholes.
Yeah.
Which is the best. But they're not the same type.
Yeah, they feel like really different characters. Yeah. And, if I had only seen Call Me By Your Name, which, for a long time I did, Timothée Chalamet was nominated for Best Actor at the Oscars, and I feel like, he was nominated for Call Me By Your Name, but I felt like just watching that, I wasn't really sure if it was really a good performance, or if he was just a really natural actor.
Exactly, he seems very naturalistic.
Yeah, and then you see him in Lady Bird, and it's a completely different character.
Yeah, in Lady Bird, it's much more not actorly, but it's very much more of a character.
Yeah, he's definitely playing a character in that. I mean, he's playing a character in both, but this one feels very realistic, and the other one is a little bit more heightened.
Yeah.
But he's so good in both of these performances.
Do you remember I'm sorry, because this is slightly off topic as well. But do you remember what is the context of them just at the pool, and then he just rolls into the pool face first?
I think
if you don't, it's okay.
I think he was reading a draft of like a paper that he had to write. Oliver was reading something that he had to prepare, and he's basically like, "It's not good, is it? It's it needs work." And Elio's like, "Yeah, and he just sort of puts on his sunglasses and then just rolls into the pool. And it's just
one of my favorite shots.
Yeah, it's such a perfect little moment. Oliver is such a wonderful presence in this movie because he, it's interesting because the family, they're a family of intellectuals, and they're hanging out in this villa for the summer. So they're not really like, professional people. They're not stuffy.
Right.
But Oliver still feels like this breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
It feels like he's
He has a different attitude, and like I think that I described it this way, even though we talked about it and figured out that he's like supposed to be from like Massachusetts or someplace like that. But he has a very California energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's always saying later. When he leaves.
Yeah.
They make a big thing out of it. Elio is like, "Oh, don't you think it's a bit rude?"
It's a bit rude. Yeah.
And his parents are like, "No, what are you talking about? We love him. He's amazing."
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. He's just looking for excuses to not like this guy. He's just like rude.
Yeah.
And big. Whatever.
Yeah, but Oliver, he's just so like I mean the first day that he shows up, he plops down in the bed. He's so tired. He literally just conks out
immediately,
face down. Like he literally, he didn't even like turn his head.
Nope.
To like he literally is like breathing sheets, his breathing mattress, and he just falls asleep. And then hours later, it's dinner time, and he's like, "Oh yeah, cover for me.
Yeah, right.
Make an excuse. I'm just gonna sleep for a whole day."
Yep.
And it's just and it's just this wild presence.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's just, Elio resents him just because he's shaking things up. He's changing things.
Yeah, it's true.
And I would hate that too, And I'm sure they've had research assistants before, and they've just been like quiet,
boring,
little mousy Massachusetts nerds,
Yeah. Yeah, I bet they have.
Yeah.
I bet. And like, not that I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but I feel like they're probably all been little Stuhlbargs before, like,
yeah.
So actually, let's talk about him for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael Stuhlbarg is so wonderful in this movie.
He's really great.
Both parents are really great.
They are really great.
I feel like Mr. Perlman has the slightly bigger part.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
What were you?
Oh no, I was just gonna say I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I don't remember the actress's name.
Plays,
I wasn't familiar with her work before the movie.
But she's also very good.
Yeah, she's very good. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the Perlmans in general, they feel like they're these old school, almost hippie type intellectuals, where they really just.
Oh. No, when you said that, I just realized we never mentioned this movie takes place in the 80s.
That's true. Yeah.
So this movie takes place in the 80s.
Yeah. Let's cut that in, put it at the beginning of the... No, that won't work at all.
No.
Yeah. And they seem like... They're just these really relaxed people who just seem to want Elio to have the best life he could possibly have, but they don't... I feel like they're trying not to mold him into a person. They want him to be a really great person, but they're kind of just... They want him to figure it out for himself.
I do agree with that, but I remember, and I might have said this originally, but also, somebody who plays as much piano as he does, that doesn't just happen.
That's true. I'm sure they gave him a ton of lessons, and he speaks like 3 languages and whatever.
Yeah.
But it feels like they're trying to give him this space. Maybe they know it's his last summer before he, is going off and becoming an adult.
True.
And I feel like they're trying to give him this time to find out who he is.
Right.
And they seem to really encourage, not directly encourage, but they approve of the relationship between Elio and Oliver.
Yeah, the whole movie, they actually seem pretty hands off.
Yeah.
Like they don't seem to actively know about it. They although they do know. I remember there's that one scene earlier in the movie where Elio is talking about how he's going to go out with Marzia and stuff like that, and he says to his dad, he's like, "Oh, I think that I might be able to get somewhere with this girl," and it says like, cool, like basically. And I'm like, why are you having this conversation at all? And I think that part of it is he's like trying to just show off.
Yeah. But I feel like Mr. Perlman is like cool about it. He's not like, I feel like he's maybe weirded out, but he is like, I don't know why you wanted to share this with me, but
good for you.
Yeah, but I appreciate you sharing it.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Yeah,
that is kind of his attitude. You're right.
And there's this wonderful moment a while into the movie, like I feel like at this point, Ellie and Oliver have this, are sort of standoffish between each other. Like one of them wanted something to happen and it didn't, and so Elio has gone off and lost his virginity to his girl Marzia.
Right.
And they're one day they're just sort of hanging around the villa, and they go up to the attic and find this place to have sex. In the attic, they find this old mattress.
Elio and Marzia.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, I know, but the way that you phrased the sentence, it sounded like maybe Elio and Oliver were up in the attic.
Oh, but actually, no. They at this point, Elio and Oliver have made up, and Oliver sends him a note like, "Meet me tonight at like 11:30 or something."
Oh well,
and so
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but that note is one of my favorite parts of the movie. So I wanted to I wanted to just touch on it real quick. Which is that it's they haven't quite made up yet. They are making up through this note. They have not spoken in days and stuff, and Elio sends Oliver a note that's like, I can't remember the phrasing of it. I did when we did the first episode, but it's like something like, silence is killing me or something, blah, 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 whatever, something dramatic. And Oliver sends back a note that says, grow up. I'll see you at midnight.
Okay.
And I love that. That's my favorite.
Yeah. But anyway, this whole day, Elio is off doing his own thing, hanging out with Marzia. They go up to the attic to have sex, and he takes off his watch while they're going at it, right. And he puts it on the nightstand. And then, the evening comes. They have people over for dinner. And of course, they make Elio entertain everybody by playing the piano. Right. And close to that time, he's like, "Oh, it's getting late. I think I'm really tired. I think I got to turn in." And Mr. Perlman,
bone o'clock.
But he's like, "Well, I don't know what time it is, but it might be bone o'clock." And then Mr. Perlman is like, "Oh, here, and he hands him the watch that was left up on the stand. So, like, he knows. He knows everything that's happening in this movie.
I genuinely didn't catch that, though. I didn't realize he had left the watch behind.
Yeah. Leaves his watch in the attic. Well, you just don't see him put it back on.
No,
so
that's fair.
It could be he left it on the piano, but it's edited so that it seems like Mr. Perlman went upstairs, found this watch, probably because he heard shit happening upstairs. He finds the watch, gives it back to Elio, just in time for him to know what time to do like, I think he knows every single part of this story.
So what you're saying is, he ships it.
Yeah, he ships it both. He ships both. He ships all of it.
Yep. I respect that, and I appreciate it. Yeah. That's the way that I am. Good for you, Mr. Perlman. Yeah. I'm right there with you.
He's like, my kid's getting some. I wish I could get some.
I do want to talk about the two of them for a second, which we were, in theory. That's how this started. But even when they're having that dinner party and stuff, there's like, it seems real cute. Like, it seems like Mr. and Mrs. Perlman, they have a nice relationship. They're still, there's a shot of them from overhead, and it looks real romantic and nice. Yeah. And they're like, middle-aged, and they're having a good time and stuff like that. But, later on in the movie... Yeah,
the very end of the movie. Right. Well, I guess we should just broadly explain the end, because, we talked about Elio and Oliver. They have this fling. Right. It's romantic. It's a romance. But... they get together maybe a couple weeks before summer ends, and then Oliver has to go
back home.
Yeah, and they have this one fight because Oliver, in order to get to America, they're in such a remote part of Italy that he's got to take a bus to another town so he can take the train to an airport.
Yep.
And so they send Elio off to this town for the weekend with Oliver, so that they can get down to Pound Town, basically.
Yeah. And the parents know this too. They're like, we, they don't say as much, but they're like, we want you to get to spend some time together before, and why else? Why else? Come on.
Then Elio sees Oliver off on the train, and he knows it's over, and he's really upset. He calls his mom
to come get
at the train station. Mom, can you pick me up? Which is wonderful.
Yep,
because,
I identified strongly with that.
How often have we all been and just you're just overwhelmed, and you just need a parent.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But then after that, he gets home, and there's this amazing scene where Mr. Perlman calls him in to his study, and just goes on this long monologue about how he, it's never explicitly stated that he was gay or that he had his room, but he just talks about having this kind of love that he never let himself have because he was afraid. He was afraid of getting hurt. He was afraid of maybe what people would say. And he just tells this wonderful story of lost love. Not even a story, because he doesn't say what happens.
No, it's true. Yeah, he doesn't go into any details or anything.
Yeah, but
it's just really nice, and he just says to Elio, basically, he's like, you feel sad now. That's okay, but you should feel your feelings. You shouldn't shut them away. And
it's a
really
beautiful
great.
thing, because he's saying, like, if you shut yourself off to these awful feelings, you'll never feel as good as you did. And he's like, I only wish that I could have the feelings that you are having right now, but I shut that part of myself off a long time ago.
I don't think he says that specifically,
not quite,
but that's the implication.
Yeah. And so it's really left ambiguous what kind of relationship the parents have, if they have a sexual relationship, or if it's just romantic and not sexual, or if they're just very good friends.
That's true.
It's never it's never said that he is gay.
Yeah,
but it's also never said that Elio and Oliver are gay specifically. They're both. Everyone in this movie is seen having relationships with both.
That's true. Yeah, Oliver is as well, because there's the girl from the town that he that he's dancing with and stuff like that. Yep, in the great dance scene.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Mr. Perlman talks about seemingly having relationships with both men and women.
So what you're saying is this is a movie full of bicons.
Yeah, this is a movie full of bisexual energy.
I'm into it always. The more bisexual energy in any movie, the better. Honestly. 20 by teen #.
Oh man.
Oh, yep. It's 20 by 10.
I didn't know this.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm not up on my my bi culture.
Well, last year was 20 gay teen, and it worked out well for most people, as far as I can tell. So now it's 20 by teen, and it's working out pretty well.
Last year, personally, for me, it was 20 straight teen.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds boring, but, I'm not going to judge your life.
Yeah.
So, yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know, because 2018, that was the year I saw Call Me By Your Name.
There you go. Yep.
Lusting after my man, Armie Hammer.
Armie Hammer, yep.
Who I just want to put my arm around him. Like,
sounds nice.
we could just be bros watching a game or something. like I would watch a game. I don't know. Whatever he wants to do. We could watch some cool indie movie.
Do you know that Mad TV sketch where the guys are watching the football game and they just make out?
No.
Yep, that's what.
Are you sure you didn't just write this in your dreams?
I swear to God, I did not make this up. Mad TV football, peep it. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, anyway, but I respect you and your what's the word I'm looking for? Quasi-romantic relationship with Armie Hammer. I respect it very much.
I don't have one.
I know, because you don't know each other in real
Yeah,
life,
no.
but
Yeah. But if the opportunity arose, we just, go get a beer.
Right.
Hang out.
I think that's nice.
Yeah.
Homoplatonic.
Yeah.
That was the word I was
just want to
looking
put
for.
my arm on his enormous shoulder. Like.
I said that, but as soon as I said it, I'm like, I don't know if that's what I was meant either.
Homoplatonic. Yeah,
I think I made that up.
Yeah, that's weird.
That sounds weird. It sounds like what it's saying is platonic, same-sex people. And I'm like, nope, that's not what I meant either. Yeah. Words are hard.
Yeah, I don't know.
Podcasting is hard.
It is. It's really hard. It's going very poorly.
Academics is hard.
Mm-hmm.
I respect those Perlmans, all their learning,
Yeah.
all their book learning. Need more book learning.
Yeah.
Okay, so, was there anything else about this specific thing that we were talking about their parents? That was right. I'm sorry, I did have one other thing to say about that. Which was, I really like that scene. I think it's great. I think Stuhlbarg is great in it. And I really like that read of it, but I remember at the same time being a little disappointed because I just like the idea that they were just parents and they were in love.
Yeah. I mean,
I feel like there aren't enough parents in love, but at the same time, it's still cool if they're just people who are just like good friends and they're just living a good life and having a good family anyway.
They certainly seem to have a good relationship, whether or not they get down to Pound Town.
Oh man, we're just going back to Pound Town over and over again.
But yeah, they're they lay on the couch in the evening reading books.
Chilling,
they just cuddle with each other.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
Yeah, wonderful.
I would be into that.
Yeah.
Yep, A+. Okay. So anyway, back to I want to talk about music in this movie.
Yeah.
Actually, just overall, let's talk about music in this movie.
Okay. This movie, as far as I know, it doesn't have a score. There was not a composer for this movie. They use a lot of different types of like classical pieces, pieces that are maybe even like a little anachronistic. There's this piece by John Adams in this movie. There's a lot of just like solo piano stuff.
Okay.
Like there's that song, just over the opening credits where it's like that's a John Adams piece that was composed in like 96 or something like that.
Okay.
But it's like they're not going. It's weird. It's like they're using these established pieces as a score. They're not using it like as source music. It's just they're just using these pieces for their emotional weight, and a lot of times it's these solo piano pieces, and the music just it lends the movie this like light, airy feeling.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I'm not as much of a music critic as I am a film critic, so I don't know the words to use.
No, that's
of this
fair.
Music.
I think I like to let you describe the scores because you're better at noticing them. I have feelings about the pop songs.
Well, yes,
in movies,
of course.
This one it has a couple of them. There's the big dancing, the big meme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like half an hour into the movie, they all go to this like outdoor disco.
Yep, great.
Yeah,
I want to go to an outdoor disco.
Yeah, everyone's just
amazing.
wearing these 80s pastels,
yep.
And dancing in the colored lights. And Armie Hammer, he's just going for it.
Yep, shot from underneath, looking so cool and nerdy at the same time.
Yep.
Amazing. And he just really wants to jam out to Love My Way.
Oh yeah.
And which good for him, honestly. It's a good song.
Yeah.
I remember we were talking about, and I didn't know this, you said something to the effect of the song is about being in a gay relationship?
Yeah,
or that's what you had read?
I don't remember this. I haven't looked it up since then, but I feel like I even got it wrong because I didn't actually look up the lyrics to the song, but I feel like the dude from the Psychedelic Furs, basically someone talked to him about the song being in the movie, and he was like very happy because he like wrote this song. Basically, I don't know if it's about a gay relationship, but it's sort of like speculating or hoping that these sorts of alternative relationships will be more accepted in the future. Mm-hmm. And
Love
I feel
My Way.
Exactly.
But yeah, and so he really loves the song and he's dancing to it, and Elio's watching him dance, and then
and I remember
slides into the frame.
I remember talking about that shot in particular, like there's this, Elio and all his friends sitting around this table, and then like a bunch of them gradually get up to dance, but he's just sort of sitting there, kind of just watching Oliver, but not
smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, smoking a cigarette like he's never smoked before in his life. and he's just sort of watching Oliver dance, but like not in a creepy way. He's just sort of like chilling and like, yeah, okay. And then like at one point he like leans forward and is so that like the entire frame is taken up just by like his head and shoulders. It's actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it's sort of mirrored in the very last shot of the movie.
With the fireplace?
Yeah, where he, because now we're talking about the end of the movie,
right?
Where it flash forwards to winter, and
after Oliver has gone home,
and they get a call from Oliver, and he's engaged.
Yep.
And this is very upsetting news, and Elio goes and just stares into the fireplace while
Sufjan Stevens sings sadly.
And he's crying a bit, and the entire end credits plays over this shot, and it's kind of amazing.
And stuff is happening in the background, like his mom and I don't know if the housekeeper, they're just setting up for like they're having like a Hanukkah dinner basically, if I remember right.
Yeah. And I love this shot, and like the fact that you can see everything in the background and stuff, and the fact that the credits are going on too, because it feels like it's like acknowledging that, you know, Elio's feelings are real and they're important because you're watching them, but it's also kind of like he's gonna get over it. Like,
right.
You know,
life is continuing.
Yeah, life is continuing. The movie is continuing without him, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's great. It's like it's I love that in particular. Like the way that it gets across that feeling like when something bad happens in your life, especially your romantic life, and you're like so sad.
Yeah, you're like, this is it. This is the only thing that will ever happen to me. This is the only thing
I can feel.
Yeah.
But your life will continue.
Yeah.
Something else will happen. It'll be fine. Eventually, you just gotta keep going. Life's still going.
Yeah.
You know, and he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elio's gonna kill it out there someday.
Especially in that shirt.
Shirt.
With the faces all over it or something.
Great.
Oh, wonderful shirt.
Good for him.
He's definitely got like some eyeliner going on.
Yeah,
in that,
he seems like so much cooler.
Yeah.
In this later scene.
All he had to do was get laid.
Right. He seems like he's gone like full new wave.
Oh yeah, full new romantic.
Yeah, that's true. I'm into it. Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He doesn't do anything for me, but you know that I could get that at that new romantic Elio.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can maybe get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
I would probably regret it, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But there's also though, aside from that, but aside from them, so there's the song that plays over the end credits, which is great, and then there's them dancing in there's them dancing in the outdoor disco, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But I also love when the song comes back when they're in the town, where they go by themselves for the train, and they've gone out and they've gotten drunk in this random town, and they just hear "Love My Way" playing in the street, and they run down the street, and it's this couple just blasting it out of their car radio.
Yeah, it's literally like it's the weirdest, most like European thing, because there's like this girl just like dancing, but like not even very hard. She's just sort of like moving her shoulders, and there's just like a couple dudes just smoking a cigarette, like sitting in the car.
Yep.
And it's so strange, but like a wonderful image.
Yep. And Oliver's just so excited because this is clearly like his favorite song.
Mm-hmm.
And he just runs up and he's dancing with her.
Yeah, he drags her away and then they like go dance in front of a church.
Yep. Yeah, they jump over like a chain to go dance in front of a church.
And Oliver's just like sitting there watching all of this happen.
Yep.
Elio's just sitting there watching all this happen.
Drunk, and it's just
and then he just throws
vomits.
up.
Yep.
And Elio just thinks that's hilarious. Now I'm mixing them up. It's weird.
Well,
I'm calling them by their names.
I was going to say they're already calling each other by their names at this point, so it makes sense. Yep.
Which we established
we should come back to.
Yeah.
In a second, just because I want to finish this thought.
Okay.
But But I love that scene because yeah, it's just him and this strange girl, and they're yelling at each other about, like, she's like, yeah, we saw them in London, and he's like, ah, cool, and then he turns to Ellie, and he's like, what is she saying? And it's great. And then Elio throws up.
Yeah.
But I love the feeling of just like, you're having a moment with a stranger when you're just drunk and excited about your favorite song playing.
I also, just thinking about this now, I love that this is such a, like a, it's not a big scene in the movie, but like it takes up quite a few minutes in this movie. And this really hammers home this like idea of the fact that this movie is like a series of memories, more than a story, because like, if you're thinking back to like this time in your life, this like one particular summer, you're not going to remember it as a story.
Right.
You're going to remember the specific, like that would be, if you were Elio looking back years later, you would remember that night.
Yeah.
Even though nothing happened in your story, in the love story of Elio and Oliver, you'd remember the time you just found a girl and started dancing and you threw up, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
And that's the sort of thing you'd remember 15 years later and go, oh yeah, that was awful.
Yeah.
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 And so I love that that's in the movie. I feel like
they probably had a good time until they threw up.
I'm sure they had a good time.
Uh-huh. No, so they have the whole conversation, call me by your name and I'll call you by mine.
Yeah.
No.
It's not really a whole conversation. It's literally just that.
And then they just do it. But like what? No, well,
I do not understand this at all.
Yeah.
And
it seems like it's a reference to a thing that you have no other reference point for.
Yeah. And like,
other than that it's the title of the movie.
Mm-hmm. And like, that's totally fair. Maybe it's an in-joke between them and we're not privy to understanding why.
No, I guess that's fair.
Like I said, I mean, it's just, a memory that you have and you don't remember where it came from. It's like, oh yeah, we called each other by our other names. Why did we do that? I don't remember. Yeah. I remember when it first started,
That's true. And I've read a thing about why it makes sense and why it's great, but I don't remember it now, unfortunately.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Right, exactly. Thanks. Yeah, great. Mm-hmm. Good content. But my point was that they do that then when it goes to, they go to the town and they're, by the waterfall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Water.
The most water you see in the entire movie. Although that lake was pretty big, but.
It's pretty big, but the water is so much water.
Yeah, it's coming down really forcefully. You. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're just leaping around that mountain.
Yeah.
It almost feels like they should be like taking all their clothes off and going skinny dipping, but you don't see that.
No. But maybe they did.
Maybe they did.
But they're just skipping around like full wood nymph. You know, they're just going and they're just yelling each other. And they're yelling their names at each other. And and there's another Sufjan playing, and it all ties together. You got the music, you got the name, you got the water. It's all happening. It's all happening.
And
it's
then
basically the apex, because movie is about boning when it's not about boning.
Yeah.
It's about the feeling of romance.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the rush.
Yes.
The rush of being with someone.
Love. Yeah. Or
whatever.
Similar. Or adjacent.
Or someone who is just extremely hot.
I mean, I guess fair enough. Yeah.
I don't know. And then they come back to it at the end in that phone call in the wintertime, where they're having this sort of slightly awkward conversation about, Oliver getting engaged. And then Elio calls him Elio in this little whisper.
Yep.
And then
Oliver's like, Oliver, I remember everything.
Yeah, he just says, feelings.
I hate it. I love it. Yeah.
And it just destroys you every time you watch it or think about it right now.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it right now, and I am devastated.
We literally were like crying at the end of the last episode. We were like legitimately welling up.
Yep. To be fair, 2 bottles of wine in.
Yeah, that'll do that.
But just
to you.
Talking about it, we were like,
Yeah, but it's just this wonderfully evocative line, and like I'm not even sure why just that line just destroys me emotionally.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. It's this wonderful line that, you know, it's a wonderful way of telling Elio that all this matter, even though they can't be together.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It didn't mean nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that I had thought of this earlier, but that part is amazing. It's my favorite part, and it reminds me. The only other part that is we didn't talk about that I also really love is like in the like direct midpoint of the movie, like before they get together, when they go to like the town square or whatever together that has the big monument,
mm-hmm.
and it's got the big tracking shot around it that we then spent. By the way, we spent 20 minutes trying to figure out how they did the tracking shot in the drunk version of this episode. But anyway.
That doesn't sound right, but also I don't remember.
It seems right. Anyway, so the two of them just go to this, to this war memorial, and they're talking, and it's a one long shot as they walk around it, and they're talking to each other, and they like lose sight of each other like halfway around, and Elio is like kind of muttering to himself almost about how basically like it's like, you know, how he's feeling something, but they don't want to talk about it, and he's like, I want to talk about it, and Oliver's like, you know, when you say some things you can't take them back, or like basically it's like those aren't the exact words, but it's that conversation, and all of this is happening, and like Elio's looking down while they're walking, and they can't see each other. Oh, it's so much. And I remember when we were talking about this movie, I was like, before this point, I wasn't sure I was on board with this movie, because I was like, I don't like this kid. He's a little shit. And then at that point I was like, oh no, this is my jam. I can't handle it. Why? Oh no, these people, no, they're having feelings. No. And that's how I feel about it. Yeah. It's very important to me, and so I wanted to mention that scene specifically.
It is an amazing scene, but I was already totally on board with this movie. I feel like I was just... You know, I remember seeing it for the first time in the theater, and the opening credits start, and it already feels so different to me. You know, it's for one thing, not too many movies these days still have opening credits.
I don't know that that's necessarily true, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's definitely not the norm for like the big budget movies anymore. But it's got this opening credit sequence, which is really just like photographs of Greek statues, vaporwave statues, while this shimmering piano music plays.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah, I don't know, and it immediately transports you to the world of this film, and it's got this script lettering of the credits, which supposedly. In the town near that they were filming near, Luca Guadagnino was just walked past some shop, some like butcher shop or something that had a chalkboard outside with a script, and he loved the lettering of the script, and he went in and asked like who lettered the sign, and he got them to write the credits of the movie.
That's really great.
Yeah, I love that, because it's. You know, it's not just such a tossed off thing. It's not like, oh yeah, I think the credits should be in script. It's like,
and then like, you know, somebody that you don't know picks out the font.
Yeah, it's like he is like, it needs to be this guy. It just looks right. I don't know why, it just does.
Oh, that's good.
And yeah, it's just a wonderful little thing. And yeah, the movie just sort of had me immediately. I was a little bit. I think, you know, I don't see a lot of. I don't know what you would call this type of movie, but I know I don't see a lot of them. You know, the little indie drama.
Yeah.
I don't see a ton of those. And so, you know, when there's just scenes where like there's just like somebody walking down a hallway I was just like, what? Why am I seeing this? But like 5 minutes in, I'm like, all right, I get it. This is a chill movie. This movie's chill. It's so chill.
It is chill. This is a chill movie.
Even when there's intense emotions.
Yeah.
It's chill. I don't know.
Oh, speaking of which, there's one scene, and even when we talked about this last time, I feel like we didn't get at the thing I wanted to say about it because we got caught up in all the meme of it.
Okay.
Which is the scene with the peach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, just as a brief overview...
he fucks a peach. End of brief overview.
But, like, you know... And we got last time caught up in the specifics of like why would you do this? Mm-hmm. And I talked a little bit about how I found it viscerally horrifying.
Yeah.
Because I have problems with sticky things.
Oh yeah, and that would be very sticky.
Yep.
Very nectary.
Yep. I have problems with sticky things, especially on my hands, and I have problems with dust, like in this attic, in the sex attic, which is all dust.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And just their warm, sweaty bodies getting all over that dust.
Yeah, I hated it, and I just my whole head breaks out into allergic reaction just thinking about it.
I had problems with just people walking around barefoot in like these dirt, like just in the dirt.
Yeah,
and then they'll just walk into the house.
Okay, but this is exactly what happened last time. So I want to get. No, this is true. We talked about the dust and then about walking around in the dirt, and I was like, no, I want to get back to my point about the peach.
Okay.
So my point about the peach, is that so in the scene, you know, Elio messes around with this peach, and it seems like he kind of is just doing it just to be like, well, but what if this?
Yeah. What would this sound? What would this feel like?
Right.
And it turns out. Feels all right.
Yeah.
Feels pretty good.
But he falls asleep or whatever after this. And Oliver comes up and finds him.
Yeah.
And like, it seems like, you know, and it's like, you did this. This is a thing you did. Okay, this is all right. And then he's like, I'm going to eat this peach.
Yeah.
And Elio freaks out.
Yeah.
And that's the part that I think is interesting. It's like so much because in that moment, there's no moment because Elio is a very precocious 17-year-old. And he's
very much trying to act like an adult even when he doesn't feel like an adult.
Exactly. And I think that that's part of the reason why the romance isn't as weird as it could be, considering that Oliver's maybe supposed to be 22, but is probably 24.
I think he's supposed to be 24.
30 because he's Armie Hammer, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So but it's not as weird as it could be because Elio is always trying to act like an adult. But in this one scene where he freaks out about this, he acts like a teenager. He acts like a child who is like no, and he's so mortified, he's so embarrassed.
Yeah, he starts crying really.
Yep. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. No, I won't do it. I was messing around. But yeah.
And apparently that's a change from the book. And I think possibly even the screenplay.
Okay.
I think that might have been just something that they found in like rehearsals or something like that. I don't know. Because it just feels so real.
Right, exactly. It feels like a thing where you're just getting started in whatever the adult sexual world, I guess. I don't know, whatever. And like you're not ready to be weird.
Yeah.
You know? Like somebody older than you is gonna be like, oh, you wanna get weird, huh? And you're like, no, don't see me this way. Don't see this part, you know? Like and I think it's very true, and I like it a lot. I think that's the thing I like about that scene. It's not the meme of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We absolutely talked about that.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
You absolutely got to that point.
Oh. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. I can only assume it's that I was too drunk to remember making that point.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I thought we just made jokes about nutting in a peach.
I mean, we did that too. Anything else to say before we wrap up?
The only thing that I wanted to say, but I don't know that I have that much to say about it, was about Elio's uncles.
Yeah. Which, yeah, we forgot to touch upon in that. That's like the one thing about the movie we didn't talk for 4.5 hours.
No. Clearly, like, he has quote unquote gay role models, but he also seems to be like unimpressed by them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he calls them Sonny and Cher, and I love his dad's line. It was like, don't call them that. Is it because they're gay or because they're ridiculous?
That is true. I love that line.
Yeah.
It's a very important distinction.
Yeah. And they seem a little ridiculous.
They do seem a little ridiculous. Yep.
In a wonderful way.
And they have this whole conversation when, like, he wants Elio to wear the shirt that they bought for him, and he was like, nah, though. What is this? But like he winds up doing it anyway, and it's a ridiculous shirt. Like,
thought it was an alright shirt. I wear ridiculously patterned shirts all the time.
Oh, well, I'm not saying that it's ridiculous in a bad way. I'm saying it's ridiculous, though. And also, side note, they meet Marja when she has her sex hair.
Oh my goodness, that sex hair is perfect.
Yeah, it's so big and it's wonderful.
It's all like one-sided too. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And they're all just like they look like just their skin looks all sweaty, like they've just been going at it.
Yeah, like they just came out of a weird attic. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The uncles are they're really not in the movie that much.
No, they're not, but it's still nice.
Yeah, it's a nice little moment.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Anyway. So this movie was nominated for 4 Academy Awards.
Okay.
Best Picture, Best Leading Actor Timothée Chalamet, which we already discussed. Best Original Song, Sufjan Stevens for "Mystery of Love," which is the song that sort of plays
over the waterfall, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I both songs are really good. I prefer "Visions of Gideon."
Okay.
Maybe that wasn't an original song. I don't know.
And
Best Adapted Screenplay, James Ivory, which it won.
Right.
And
which was exciting.
Yes. Mm-hmm. James Ivory became the oldest winner of a competitive Oscar at 89.
Good for him.
Yeah. Super old.
Yep.
And he made this great movie about young people.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
If anything, it should have been nominated for more Academy Awards.
I feel like that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the way this movie looks.
Yeah.
It's very unobtrusive. Mm-hmm. I feel like someone could possibly call this movie even just boring looking because there's no like interesting it's not like your normal film nerd like he shoots from inside a fireplace or look at this crane shot.
He literally does shoot from inside a fireplace.
Yeah, that's true. But it's an unobtrusive film style. It's really just showing you exactly what's happening, but there's just it's something about like the specific angles that he gets.
He picks good angles to like get at the emotions of stuff. Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Yeah, and they make a point in the end credits. There's this weird credit right before the end that says like shot entirely on 35mm film with this vintage lens. They call out one lens. It's interesting. It's also interesting because most movies are not shot with one lens. You'll use different lenses for different types of shots. Mm-hmm. And I think using one lens for the entire movie gives it a very specific look.
Okay.
The only other example I could think of is the movie Psycho is shot entirely with, I think, a 50mm lens because that's supposed to most accurately reflect human vision. And so everything looks like how you would look at it, basically. And I feel like that's what this movie is trying to do as well. Okay. I don't know if it's the same type of lens. I don't know that much about lenses. But this movie looks great.
Cool.
And yeah, this movie looks great. It is great. It's great.
Yeah, I recommend it. It's a good movie. It's romantic and a little bit silly and a little bit sad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got everything.
I cried.
Yeah.
We didn't touch on that. I cried.
Cried hell hard. We touched upon on how we cried.
Well, we didn't touch about it this time, I'm saying.
We touched upon it this time. We were talking about I Remember Everything and how we cried.
That's true.
We talked about how we cried even during the episode.
I cried, though. We did cry during the episode. Yeah, I cried.
We cried.
Listen, I cried.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, this movie is so good.
It's really good.
I feel like I could watch this movie all the time, but then I would just be sad so much when it ends.
Sad a lot.
But you have to let that feeling in. You don't want to shut that feeling off.
Oh yeah, that's true. How good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's it. Do you want to do the ending this time?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that I don't have to have any final thoughts.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. You can follow us on Twitter at nomineespod.
You said at twice.
At?
Yeah.
At.
You don't at. It's,
At.
Follow us on Twitter at nomineespod.
Listen, this is... Just let me do it.
All right. Okay.
Follow us on Twitter at nomineespod.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram at nomineespod. I promise I will post something this week. Last week, I said that we had one in the episode and then promptly forgot about it.
Yeah.
So I promise I'll do something this week.
You can send us an email at nomineespod@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
If you write us a nice letter, we might read it on the show. That's supposed to entice people to write in. Nobody has.
That's okay. Maybe nobody has anything nice to say.
Yeah, maybe. If you don't have something nice to say, write it in, and we won't read it on the show, but we'll just feel bad about ourselves.
Listen, I already do that without their help.
That's
okay?
true.
You can also find our podcast directly at nomineeswere.podbean.com.
Mm-hmm. We are now on Spotify.
Yep. Yeah, that's... Oh, and we technically have a Patreon. It's not up yet. We will let you know when it is.
I think probably I think we should release some form of the other Call Me By Your Name episode on there.
I did promise that to my one friend. I don't know how
about a
interested
lot
he
of the
actually
same
is.
things.
We did. It's a lot of overlap, but
yeah.
we're drunker in the other version and much more easily distracted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, there'll be more content there coming soon. You'll have to pay us for it. I don't know how much.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, we're not that particular.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine it'll be very much.
I would like, I don't know, a living wage. So maybe we'll set the tier at $15 an hour. I don't know.
That doesn't...
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work.
No, I don't think that'll work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
It's a nice dream.
Right.
Yep.
So
thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Join us next week for The Shape of Water.
Yeah, that's the last episode. Well, the second to last episode of 2017. The last movie. Then there'll be a wrap-up episode. And then it's time for our next mini-series.
Ooh.
What could it possibly be?
I don't know why I did a spooky voice.
I feel like I should just tell people, and then they can prepare by watching these movies.
I guess that's true.
But also just seems like we want to keep up the suspense. I don't know. Both seem good.
Both seem good. Both are good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm leave that up to you.
All right.
All right. Well, that's that.
Yep.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah. Later.